Here we were in Terra Incognita. We were in a territory we didn't know much about. Yeah, did we know the danger? Yeah. We knew the danger, but we pushed the limits. Yeah, I remember one that Dave and I had that was the worst, was with a big female right whale. We were in Canada. We flew up to do it. We had flocks of boats around us and everything getting ready to save us, and we had the whale. It was one of those few days in the Bay of Fundy that it was really flat and beautiful, and this whale was in terrible shape. It eventually died of its entanglements, had a deep cut around its entire body, so it was bleeding around. A rope had completely encircled it, and the pressure on it was cutting into the animal. So the whale had been entirely circled, so you had something around here, and it was sawing. And she was down, she went down, she was a powerful animal, and she would not quit. Right whales are that way. They are just too strong. But in this case, we had just aluminum poles, and the only way we could reach her was laterally, which was not where we should be. And we were going to wait. We could see her, so we could tell, knowing the behavior of the animals, when she was going to come up, and we were going to make a pass at that cut. And she slid up, came up, and I was on the bow, and Dave was, I always handled the lines to pulled up. Dave had the knife. The whale was towing us, basically. I was holding on to and usually we knew when the whale had a funny behavior, and just at the last moment it was clear that the animal was going to throw a little twist into its body and was going to strike. And it didn't just strike, it lifted its tail up from me to you when it came down, and it came down so hard, and the tail of a right whale is bigger than this table by a fair amount, and it struck the water so hard that my hearing was ringing from the strike for a half an hour. It was like an explosion had happened. It had struck flat on the surface with huge power. And I don't remember much else. The tail came up right next to us and struck maybe this far, maybe a little closer. If it had hit us, it would have killed us immediately. I mean, it's the weight of an automobile, and it would have, I've often said, I played lacrosse. I don't know if you know lacrosse. It's an American Indian sport. Yeah. And I played that for the university, and I wore a mask. It has a mask and a real good helmet. I said, people say, why do you wear that? And I said, it's not to save my life if I get struck. If I get struck, my head will be over there with a mask on it, and my body will be over here.
And feeling like if this is the last time that I tie, like, that's okay. And like, that's kind of where my brain mentally goes when I'm tying.
There's something called mana no aware, also memento mori, in this too must die, or in mana no aware is the same idea. It's that we live in a fleeting moment that can never be recreated, and ropes are like that. Yeah. So each thing is accepting that this may be great at the moment, but you'll never feel it again, and that this version of yourself will die at the end of this, and that is the end. And you have to give everything to that moment, as that moment will never exist again.
Yeah, right. Well, last February, a right whale washed up on Martha's Vineyard, and we were able to work with the local Wampanoag tribe in Aquinnah, Gayhead Wampanoags, and they actually took the carcass, and the necropsy was done there, the animal was buried there, and the bones were saved, the baleen was saved, and the Native Americans legally are allowed to profit from the artwork that they can create from that. And I think this is probably the first time in this part of the world that due respect was given. And it was really neat